Hi, welcome to All Things Possible. We are excited to be able to share with you a new episode, and we are thrilled to have you with us. I'm Kris Barney, and
I'm her sweetheart. I'm Bill Barney, and we're here together, and we have an incredible story for you today. This is going to blow your mind. It's just like fun. But we're very raw and real, and we tell it like it is. So.
That's true. If you've been with us very long, you know that that's the truth. We love to be able to share raw and real and stuff as it happens, and we tell on ourselves all the time. So it's really fun to have you here. We are going to be talking about, do you live your truth? Before we jump into all of this fun story and give you all the gritty details, right? If you have not joined our community, please join our community at All Things Possible. And I think you're going too low, but...
No, it's right here.
www.allthingspossible.biz. We love to have you join with us in our community and get the pieces that we love to share with you, the different tools, the different techniques, and our weekly, we give you information and talk through different topics, anything from energy healing to leadership and communication. So we love having you with us and joining our community. So if you haven't done that, do that, get our free gifts, and be part with us. We love to have that. Okay. And if not, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, do that as well.
We would love that.
Enough commercials. So, do you live your truth? What is that for you? So for us, we have been very vocal. We put out a lot of videos, and we have both written books, and we have been out there. And yesterday, I guess not yesterday. Yesterday.
Just recently, we had the experience. But have you ever noticed that whenever you really tout something, the universe conspires to find a way to give you a chance to see if you're a big fat hypocrite? Or if you're going to live what you say.
Do you live what you preach, what you teach, what you say, right?
And so the most bizarre set of circumstances happened to us yesterday. So should I just go ahead and tell the story?
Well, it may or may not have involved handcuffs.
In a public place.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we were at a 2-day conference, the biggest one of the year. That's how we get to know people. That's how we share our message, especially specifically with me in the world of energy medicine, is by going to these conferences that have that theme. And we were at the biggest one of the year, and 2-day conference. Oh, we had an incredible day and a half. Well, I can be a little bit absent-minded sometimes. I don't know that it's terrible, but so yesterday morning, there was a booth across of us, and they had some of these tuning forks. And during a slow point, I was like, oh, I'm going to go over and talk to them about their tuning forks, see what they're doing with them and how they're using them. And I went over and had a pleasant conversation with them for about 5 minutes. Well, as I says, okay, well, that's awesome. It's good to meet you, whatever. I just kind of reached down on the desk, grabbed this phone and put it in my pocket and turned around. And as I did that, another lady in that booth says, hey, by the way, that's my phone you just put in your pocket. And I was like, no way. I pulled it out and looked at it. Sure enough, it wasn't mine. And I says, oh my gosh. And I was embarrassed. I says, I'm so sorry. Here's your phone. Didn't think anything of it. Shortly
even
after that,
so much, he never even told me it happened.
Shortly after that, yeah, I didn't even say anything to her because she'll just call me a dork.
I would have been like, whatever. So, la la la. Right?
So then we're in the middle of lunch hour rush where they have a 2-hour lunch break, where people are attending classes. They all come down and go through the booths, kind of like a little expo thing. And then we was set, this was, like midday, and we was set to, for my class, for me to teach my class at 5 o'clock. Well, I was there, I had all these people at a booth. I was talking to people, I was out in the aisle. And this police officer walks up to me and says, are you Mr. Barney? I said, yes, I am. How are you doing? I was like, oh, great. He wants to buy my book. He says, I need to talk to you. I said, sure. Yeah, great. How can I help you? He says, no, we need to talk private. I need to get you down here where nobody's around. I'm like, okay.
So now I'm standing at the booth with people actually from out of state who have been clients that we've worked with online But they were just meeting us in person for the first time.
They had driven down to meet us.
And they're watching him get escorted out
watching
with
me
a
walk out
police
with a
officer.
policeman. And so I got out there, and to make a long story short, he says, "You have been accused of stealing a cell phone." I says, "I have?" He says, "Something about you put somebody's cell phone in their pocket at a booth." He says, "Do you know anything about that?" I says, "Oh yeah, it was the people right across from me. I just, mistakenly picked it up." Well, long story short, he says, these people have filed a complaint, and they want to press charges against you for stealing a cell phone. Because of the value of the phone, it is a class 3 or 3rd degree. I don't know how all that stuff works. Anyway, it's a felony.
They wanted to push to the farthest extent that they could push
Yes.
on this incident.
And I was like, really? I was in such disbelief over this incident. And he says, yes, and they also want you removed from the conference. And so they pushed it to the point where, fortunately, I didn't get arrested. He wrote down the information. It's going to go to a detective. I don't think anything's going to come of it. I mean,
He was not arrested. He's a suspect.
even at Walmart, if you put a sweatshirt in your underpants, you have to walk out the door before they can
And
arrest
how do you know that?
I seen it happen.
No, seriously. You have to leave the premises or exit the store. So this was just a shock to us, right? And we're like, what in the world?
So how do you handle a situation like that? I mean, we literally, in the middle of the afternoon, we had to go in when everybody was through there and start loading up our booth. We're the only one
The
doing
busiest
this.
time, go
We're
load your
just
booth up
putting
and
everything in our little pole wagon and
be escorted out by
have
the
the police officer standing there while we're doing it, like to keep things safe. And you could tell from his point of view, he was like, this is ridiculous, but he had to follow his letter of the law.
Yeah, of course he can't
Complaint
say
was
that.
filed. And then I was not able to, by the producers of the show, it's like, no, it's not going to be a good thing for you to teach your class either. Well, this is, I've been doing this for many years and teaching this class a bunch of times. Anyway, how do you
We've been to
handle
this
something
conference
like this?
dozens of times.
What do you do? I mean, would I be correct and would I be out of place if I said, this is totally unfair, and I started letting all these people know this great injustice? I would be within my rights to do this. I believe it was an injustice, okay? Here's what we did. Embarrassing, humiliating, have your reputation maligned. I mean, have all these people see you led out by the cops. And this is a place where I'm well known in these circles. And you can imagine what's going on in their head of these stories. How do you handle that? What do you do? And this was like 2:30 in the afternoon. Here's what we did. First off, we told the conference producers that, you know what, love you, hug it out. It's a weird situation. Don't know that I would have done things exactly the same way, but I didn't have all the information they had either. I just saw it from my point of view. So I let it go. We left peacefully. And then we went to the show. It was like, you know what? Bonus date. This has been such a crazy week. We haven't even been on a date this week, and we didn't think we was going to get one. So that was like super bonus date time. We looked at the show, and sure enough, Aladdin was playing.
Yeah, Disney's Aladdin, the new show that was out, right?
So we get into that show about 5 minutes, and we go, here's some irony for you.
Aladdin is a thief, and you had just been accused
Yes, but he
of
wasn't
being a thief of a cell phone.
But he wasn't a third-degree felony thief, so he just stole bread. Anyway,
And jewelry.
so we was able to laugh a little bit about that. And when we got done with the movie, it was about the time that we knew that people would be showing up to my class, to an empty classroom, with no understanding of...
People that had been talking to us for a day and a half, people that had known for weeks, if not a couple of months in advance, that we were going to be speakers at this conference.
Yes. So, and some of them specifically, they came down to enjoy the conference, but they mostly wanted to hear my message, see what I said. There must have been at least 2 of them, right? No. But there were some who came there specifically for that. And anyway, how do you handle that? What do you do in a situation like that? And I don't want to malign. We don't want to. I mean, my message is forgiveness. I forgive these people, but we need to at least hold our space. And so I went on social media, where many of them would have a platform and see that.
After the conference was over.
After the conference was over, after my class time, and just put out a post. It's like, I apologize to those of you who showed up to my class. I was accused of stealing a cell phone, was escorted off the premises by police, and was not able to teach the class. So I told them the facts so they would have the facts. Not to start a lot of drama. Because in the rest of my post, I gave the whole story that I just gave to you. At the end, I said, I made clear, I don't have any ill feelings towards any of the parties involved. It's just, this was a day for me where I got to live what I preach on forgiveness instead of practice it. And just forgive and let go and let people know. And I really think that the people that were kind of involved in that and then read that post probably heard a lot more of my message than had they sat through an hour class, because I was able to live it.
Right, but interestingly enough, and I know Bill and I had a conversation of like, well, if it would have been you, I probably wouldn't have been as
If somebody
likely.
had accused her, I wouldn't have been as docile. I would have really had to, and I will admit, I struggled with these emotions of disbelief, resentment, humiliation,
Lack of support.
and even anger and not being supported. And I struggled with that, but I was like, I teach this. You got to forgive early, forgive often, let it go.
In fact, he writes that in almost every book when he signs
When
a
I
book.
sign a book, if you have one of my books, it says forgive early, forgive often.
And my leadership book is, are you the leader you would follow? I write in there, be the leader you would follow. And I was having a really rough time. I teach forgiveness, but it's not my book, right? And I was having a little bit more of a struggle with just that immediate forgiveness of like, it's fine, it's not a big deal, and it's going to be fine. And I was like, this is a bigger issue, and how can this be, right? In fact, I had a conversation with the host before I left, and she said, put yourself in my position. And, that made me really ponder, because I had thought of that, and I had put myself in that position. And what I can tell you is, I wouldn't have done the same thing, but I have been in the position of being the leader. And not everyone will agree with you ever. You will make decisions that you feel are best in the situation. This person knew we would quietly leave, not cause a ruckus, not make a big scene, and not ruin the event for everyone there. Everyone there deserved to have their experience. Everyone at the conference deserved to be able to enjoy themselves and not have this big dramatic drama going on, right? And she knew how we would handle it. She was very confident because she knew we lived what we talk about. And the more that I looked into, am I the leader that I would follow? Am I being that, right? Because there was a time, even this morning, that my husband was like, are you being this? Are you living these things that you say, that you talk about? Just take a look at it. He gives you that, what's that wording that you use?
I don't want to even start that.
No. I mean, I invite you to look and see, are you doing what you talk about?
Yeah.
And it's a good opportunity for all of us. It's a good opportunity for us to go, wow, how am I doing? What are the things that I teach? What are the beliefs that I have? Am I living
core
those?
values?
Am I living those as a parent? Am I living those as a friend? Am I living those as an employee or as a boss?
Yeah. Do we go to our child and say, don't hit your sister?
Hey, those rules have changed.
I know, now you go to jail for that, but that's old school stuff, okay.
But it gives us that opportunity to take a step back and go, what am I about? What is my truth? How am I doing? And am I doing it in the way that I feel proud and that I feel that I am honoring myself and my beliefs in what I do.
In integrity and alignment with your personal self. Absolutely.
Right. And when we can check that, that's where we really get to take that look and say, here's where I get to improve. Here is where I get to step up the game. As much as I didn't want to admit that I got to step up the game, I do. I get to step up my game, and I think everyone in their own situation gets to step up the game. And it's not about, well, I did this and that and the other. This is about check yourself.
We're not doing this with the thing. It's not a story like, I bought this homeless man a dinner and it just felt so good at McDonald's or that type. We're not trying to do this to pat ourselves on the back, because believe me, I struggled through stuff. Fortunately, I went through it fast enough that I didn't make a mule out of myself.
Aladdin's a pretty long movie. No, seriously, we all have these moments. We all have times when something really hits us. We have hard things. It was hard being escorted out of the main convention center in our town, Salt Lake City, and having police sit there and have your stuff put there and left there. I mean, it was stand against the wall and don't move. Like, those were some hard situations.
But here's the thing. I did get to stand with my back to the wall. I didn't have to put my hands on the wall and lean into it.
Well, that was
Spread my
after you
feet.
got frisked for a cell phone.
So that was good. I didn't have to assume the position.
And you have to laugh at yourself. By this morning, I was coming up with ways to add this story into my keynote. I have a keynote in a few weeks, which is a very opportune time to share a fun story, right? And to learn from this. And I just invite you to take a look at the things. When hard things happen, how do you react?
Yeah.
When things don't go your way and it's not your fault, what happens?
So it's just check ourselves, because we're not perfect. We fall down in many ways. But this is just, it come to us big time, and it seems like such a ridiculous set of circumstances that we could be very justified in handling it a different way. But justification doesn't make it right. And so that's our message.
Right. The right way is to live your truth, live your beliefs, and be that person that you would follow. Thanks for being here.
That's it. Right there.
We love having you be part of our community. We love having you be at All Things Possible. And I think when all things are possible, you could be led out of a conference with the police.
Anything is possible.
Thanks for being here. We love having you being part of our community. Watch us again next time, right here. All Things Possible.
Yeah, right. What it says right
See you
here.
later.
Bye-bye.